if you're a CEO, right, it could be hundreds of people that you manage. It could be thousands. Mm-hmm. Who are the people that I'm going to remember? It's hard for me. The people who talk to me and are like, this is what's going on and this is what the department is working on. It's like, oh, okay, great. That's really helpful. Thank you. Your brain is like, okay, I know this person. I know what they're doing. There could be somebody down the hall who's doing exceptional work, but they're not out in front of me. So it's not.
And you're a human.
You're human. Don't put that on yourself. Like, you should be able to be a CEO like all the CEOs before you and all the CEOs after you. What I would tell people, that if you're outworking everybody, the next meeting or whatever, you better go talk to Amanda and say, hi, I get to work on this, this, and this.
Let's be honest. When it comes to a thriving career, we're all still figuring it out. Welcome to the Still at Work podcast. On this show, we take questions about navigating the workplace and work them out together. I'm Kim Taylor, head of diversity, equity, and inclusion at Coursera, and I'm your host. Let's get to work. The goal of Coursera is to democratize education. That means breaking down the barriers to learning, but also breaking down barriers to career success. That's why Still at Work exists. Felicia Ann Rose Anuha, also known as the Trillist MBA, joins us as our guest today. She's here to push us to learn how to self-promote. Felicia is a fellow podcaster, and she's also a career consultant. Her rallying cry is that it is okay to have a strategy or a tactic to get ahead at work. I've asked Amanda Clark, CEO of WellBiz Brands and Coursera board member, to help us out with this episode as well. But before we get too far into all of this, here's the question that started it all. Ready? Do you have suggestions for how Coursera can better serve Black learners and support their employment and career advancement? And one more thing this listener wants us to know about him is that he's a proud HBCU grad. While today's question asks specifically about Coursera, I want to talk about what Black learners need to do to educate themselves and make themselves fantastic candidates for high-paying jobs. Here's Felicia to get us started.
So, to answer the question from my perspective and from working with the clients I work with, and this isn't necessarily just a Coursera gap, it's any institution of learning gap where we bring students in, we teach them academically, and then we send them on their way. And the problem is sending them on their way, they are not equipped with what to do next. They don't know how to craft their narrative to talk about how they've gained the skill set, why they're passionate about it, and how they are going to translate that into value for the organization. They don't understand how to create a narrative of this is my superpower and this is why it's valuable. And without that learning, without that piece, that's the gap that we are leaving people behind. And for Black people in particular, because we come from families and situations where we don't have that internal mentorship. Like, my uncle doesn't work at Google and my dad isn't the CEO of blah, blah, blah. Now that is changing, and there are some Black people who are affluent and they do have access to this network where they can utilize this information and knowledge to fill in that gap. And they have parents who have friends that can usher them through the next steps.
So is that something, that idea of how to tell that story, how to self-promote, maybe that's something that even Coursera or other types of education can help with? How do we help get that skill, how to upskill people with that critical element to help drive their career?
Yes, it's as simple as a course. I do it in my own consulting practice as a career strategist. This is what I primarily focus on: mid-career level Black women who don't have this information. Those are my clients. And they are frustrated because they don't know why, even though they have the best performance reviews, they are doing the work of 2 and 3 people. They're doing the things for visibility. They're doing everything they're being asked to do and told to do. But what they fail, that knowledge gap, what they fail to understand is the actual company culture, how to discern and understand how that culture actually operates, who the influencers are, and how to talk with the influencers. You can keep going. So for example, I had a client who not only was she trying to get promoted at Amazon, which is a really tough promotion process because you need 6 people to write why you should be promoted on your behalf.
Okay. Wow.
Right. And so not only was she going to be promoted, but she was getting ready to go on maternity leave, which for a lot of us as women is a detrimental period of trying to get promoted when you're about to be gone for 6 months.
Yeah.
But not only did she get promoted while she was out, she did, right? Because when you understand the company's culture, you can play your chessboard, and you understand the chessboard, you understand the players, and you can communicate in ways to ensure that you get done what you're trying to get done. It's not rocket science, but it definitely takes thought and communicating for impact. And that's something that we can teach everybody how to do.
A lot of companies right now are fully remote. We've already talked about connection and connecting while working remotely earlier this season. But Felicia has some new advice on how to use a remote workplace to your benefit.
I love remote work, especially for Black employees, because 1, I can turn my camera off, I can fix my face, I can manage the things that push the microaggressions. I can manage that. I can block myself and shield myself from microaggressions. It helps me maintain psychological safety better when I'm not in the office. You have to make the extra effort in that you're not getting information, that water cooler information. So now you have to go fishing for it. But it puts me more in the driver's seat, because now I can really work my strategy that I have, because now I can easily corner people better because we're all on teams.
I still feel like there are challenges when we are remote, but I love what you talked about. You know, you can turn the camera off, you can fix your face, you can.
Some people need to,
and it's true, and a lot of times some people is me, and so I think that it's so true. As within our culture, we understand that the whole fix your face thing. It's hard for us to hide sometimes our emotion. I used to shy away a bit from sharing some of my backstory, just because there were a few times where, I was, told by other people, hey, all Black experiences aren't the same. And all Black people did not come from an environment where they didn't have mentorship and they didn't have, people. And I never wanted to offend anyone, with, my experience and my story. I did not come from a background where I had great mentors and people. I take that back. I had tons of great mentors, but not in the spaces that I'm in now. I didn't know anyone who worked in the tech industry. I didn't know anyone who was an engineer. Growing up, you're taught, be a doctor or be a lawyer. That's just what people said. But no one really knew how to get there. Go to college and be a doctor or be a lawyer. And it just, I just didn't have anyone to guide me. And so I picked up the pieces and I learned as I went. I made a lot of mistakes, and I met people of all levels, of all races and ethnicities who helped me along the way. And now, I'm still on my journey, but I make a point to try to pour back as much as I can into people who also do not have those guides and those mentors, because now that I have that experience and I have learned a few things, there's nothing more important to me than to turn around and give it to the people who are coming up, who were like me, 20 years ago. I'd love to hear your perspectives. Amanda, I'm not sure. We haven't talked at a great deal about our individual backgrounds, but how does that feel to you? Does that resonate with you?
I think what resonates with me is a little bit of what Felicia was saying, because I do specifically remember a time in my career when I was probably that person who was like getting things done, but was more behind the scenes. And, I do think that can be a thing, and that can be a thing sometimes with people of color. It can be a thing with women to not necessarily shout out this like, oh, well, look at me and this is what I'm doing. And that can be detrimental. And I remember, luckily, I had a really good manager at the time who basically said, hey, you're doing great. And I know you're getting things done. I'm just not sure like exactly how. So what she was telling me is like, I'm seeing the results, but like, you're not out there, like, you're not the person writing the emails saying like, oh, look, this is what I did this week. And so I think it was really important, because that was a turning point for me to say, okay, wait a minute. I have to like switch up my style a little bit and be much more out in front of it, and kind of get rid of this like self-promotion is bad. Like I'm saying what I'm doing.
Ugh, I'm so triggered.
I know, but I'm communicating what I'm doing, and I had to really like do a 360.
Okay, let's jump back to Felicia. She knows exactly how you should put yourself out there and self-promote without sounding arrogant. Hard work matters, but so does playing the game.
Human behavior is quite predictable when you pay attention to it. This comes from my years of being a marketer. And so you can take that and start to look at who in your office is the office parrot. And you can use the office parrots because they love to talk and they love to say things, and they say whatever soundbite they get. They don't really think through the implications of what they're saying. They just like to talk. And a lot of humans are this way. We're just built to tell stories and to talk and to be personable. And this is the persona they're bringing to work. So when you identify the parrots, your peers and up, then what you can do is give them the sound bites you want them to say. And then this way you have other people promoting you and edifying you, which makes that promotion a little bit easy. It's not all on you, right? And another tactic I tell people to do is, as you're big upping the project and what you did, you also add in how people helped you get there.
Yes.
And so this way, what that does is, again, you're not being arrogant. You're just telling the facts. Like, I led this program. I had so much fun working with Bob. Bob really helped me out as I was navigating the headwinds of this. And I couldn't have done it without these people. The soundbite is, you did it. Though there's no rub of arrogance, though, that you're taking all the credit.
Right. That's a great one.
So much strategy, Felicia. And I think this is a part of, again, what we're talking about, to go back to the original question, how can we support Black learners and Black professionals as they grow? This is it. I did not learn to be this strategic until like yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason I asked Amanda to join us today. As a CEO, she can give us insights on this topic of how to stand out and how to get ahead that are really hard to get elsewhere. For example, Amanda tries hard to recognize all of her employees, but she says the ones who go out of their way to promote their hard work end up being the ones she remembers.
Now, if you're a CEO, right, it could be hundreds of people that you manage. It could be thousands. So, like, who are the people that I'm going to remember, by the way, because it's hard for me. Like, I try. It's not my strong point to know everybody. I've met everybody. To stand out the people who talk to me and are like, hey, I just wanted to give you a little update about, this is what's going on and this is what the department is working on. It's like, oh, okay, great. That's really helpful. Thank you. It's like, oh, well, I don't want to think that way, but your brain is like, okay, I know this person. I know what they're doing. Now, what that mean is like, hey, there could be somebody down the hall who's doing exceptional work, who's better, but they're not out in front of me. So it's not that I want to be that way. It's because literally I don't have time.
You're a human.
Yeah. But I have to it just takes more time. Like I'm trying to put that filter okay, wait a minute now. I have to be skeptical, wait a minute.
Don't put that on yourself. You should be able to be a CEO like all the CEOs before you and all the CEOs after you. You should be able to be a human being, and the way your company culture is, you understand it. And the people who rise, I know we want to say, I want to focus on the real worker bee, the 20% that's doing the 80, right? That's just not how this works, because we're all human beings, right? And so what I would tell people, that if you're outworking everybody, you better get some gumption and go at the next town hall or the next meeting or whatever. You better go talk to Amanda and say, hi, I'm such and such, and I love working here because I get to work on this, this, and this. If you ever want to know about it, I'm happy to set up time or whatever if you care for what I'm doing. Here's the thing that people don't understand about CEOs. CEOs have blind spots because their direct reports are filtering information to them, as they should. That's their job, to make sure that the CEO stays focused on the tasks that they need to stay focused on and the decisions that drive the business, that are imperative to drive the business that they have to make, which is 11 million decisions every day.
We're all Black women here in the corporate world or adjacent to the corporate world. How do we, in our roles, ensure that we are bringing the Black community along?
I mean, anybody who has ever asked me to help them or mentor them, who has ever, I want to be clear, reached out to me, I have always said yes. I have never said no. Sometimes I've interviewed people and people have the job hasn't worked out for whatever reason. And even those people, I have stayed in touch with and tried to help. And that is what I can do right now. I think coaching people and also helping people, I feel unpack some of the terrible advice that they've been given. I was literally just talking to, I don't want to say an executive on my team, who's a woman, who was told, some advice like, you shouldn't talk with your hands. You should wear glasses to make you look smarter. This was literally today, you guys. I was like, you and I are going to go out to eat, and as we have, but I was like, none of that is how I roll. And none of that is what helped me get to where I am. I got here by being my strong, confident self, and I will help you get to where you need to go. But you will do it by being you.
I think this is a great, place for us to just sort of recap, I think. And I hope we did justice to Kyle's question, asking, how can Coursera better serve Black learners? I think, the answer.
I think we just figured it out.
Yeah. It's listen to what the Black community and Black learners are saying that they need or that they don't have access to, and develop it. And that's not rocket science. And I think we have enough people within the community and at Coursera and elsewhere to help us do that. So yeah, I think this has been a great discussion, Felicia, and I hope that we'll have you again and we can go deeper into some of these concepts.
It's my jam.
This episode is hyper-focused on helping people of color get ahead. But the advice applies to everyone, especially those in minority groups. Self-promotion is not wrong. Everyone else is doing it, and if you don't, you will be left behind. Okay, now that you've finished listening, we are begging you to tell someone about the good work we know you always do. Thank you all for joining me on this episode of Still at Work. And thanks especially to Felicia for her advice and honesty, and to Amanda for joining us once again. Do you have questions about how to navigate your workplace and everything that goes along with that? We can help. Go to the form in our show description to submit your question. While you're there, please don't forget to subscribe to our podcast, Still at Work, wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also rate and leave our show a review to help others find us. That's it for today's episode. We'll see you soon. Views and opinions expressed during the podcast are those of the individuals expressing them and do not necessarily reflect those of Coursera or Human Group Media.